Using the lunar solar calendar is the sole way to currently count to Pentecost. It is only by using the biblical calendar that all the requirements for reckoning Pentecost can be met. Scripture provides 3 time parameters that must be met in order to correctly count to Pentecost. These are clearly given in Leviticus 23, 15 and 16.
You shall also count for yourselves from the day after the Sabbath that you bring the wave sheaf 7 Sabbaths. They must be complete. Then after the 7th Sabbath you shall count 50 days.
The 3 requirements as set forth in Scripture are: 1. Start the count on wave sheaf the day after the high Sabbath. 2. 7 Sabbaths must be complete. 3. Number 50 days. 7 Sabbaths complete provides 7 complete weeks, starting on wave sheaf. On the next day after the 7th Sabbath, the count to 50 days begins. Depending upon the number of days in the 3rd month or lunation, this 50 count takes you to either the 28th or 29th of the 4th month. The entire count from wave sheaf is approximately 100 days. The Feast of Weeks revolves around the first fruits of the summer wheat harvest. And because wheat calls for 100 to 120 days to mature, the entire process constitutes just about 4 months.
The great feature of the celebration, Feast of Weeks, was the presentation of 2 loaves made from the first fruits of the wheat harvest.
Yahushua alluded to this truth when he made this statement shortly after the Passover.
Do you not say, there are still 4 months, and then comes the harvest?
Historians and biblical scholars all agree. The Feast of Weeks stands as a memorial of the giving of the law at Mount Sinai.
The day of Pentecost was kept by the Jews also as a festival to commemorate the giving of the law on Mount Sinai. The Feast of Weeks was held in remembrance of the giving of the law. Feast of Pentecost, or of Weeks, when the first fruits, especially of wheat, were presented, commemorative also of the giving of the law on Mount Sinai.
If one were simply to count 50 days from the wave sheaf offering during unleavened bread, then Pentecost would be celebrated well before the children of Israel had even reached Sinai. However, in using the lunisolar calendar, we see the timeline laid out in Scripture, proving the biblical and historical account of Pentecost is indeed a memorial for the giving of the law. Counting 7 Sabbaths complete will always fall on the 8th day of the 3rd month. Exodus 19:1 states, the children of Israel arrived on the same day of the month they had left Egypt, the 15th. Here we have the first 7 days in our count to 50. Exodus 19:10-16 states Yahuwah told Moses to sanctify the people. 3 days later, Yahuwah descended upon Mount Sinai. And so we have 3 more days added to the count, giving us a total of 10 days. In Exodus 24, Yahuwah asks Moses to come up the mountain together with the elders. Moses, Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and the elders then ascended Mount Sinai. Yahuwah then calls Moses into the mountain. After 40 days, Moses descends with the original tables of stone written by the finger of Yahuwah. This adding 40 more days gives us a total of 50 days. Further proof shows us on the 49th day of our count, Exodus 32 tells us that Aaron proclaims, "Tomorrow is a feast to Yahuwah." Being the high priest appointed by Yahuwah himself, Aaron had beheld Yahuwah's presence on the paved work of sapphire stone in Exodus 24. And so, therefore, this was no random feast, albeit the children of Israel desecrated this sacred day with their idolatrous behavior. It was the Feast of Weeks, found exactly 50 days after the 7 Sabbaths complete on the lunisolar calendar. Only by counting 7 complete Sabbaths on the lunisolar calendar, then adding another 50 days, does one arrive at the true Feast of Weeks, that is, Pentecost. Far from disproving lunar Sabbaths and the lunisolar calendar system, the biblical count to the Feast of Weeks is one of the most remarkable verifications of the exactitude of both.